Okay people, this is himself, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use Blindside. I'll show you the frame traps you have, the guaranteed hits you can get, and also what I think of this move. So Blindside is B+1+2 and it's an 18 frame mid that does no damage, but it's the frames on block, hit and counter hit that make it interesting. On block, Armor King is at +1, which is not that special, and your best follow up is probably D4. This will crush any highs and it will track side steps. On a block it's only -13, so only a few characters will launch you. To get them to stand you can use DF1. This is a 13 frame mid, so only jabs will beat you, and it's also safe on block. But if you suspect they're going to do that, you might want to go for DB3. This will go under highs and hopefully counter to launch them, and even if it doesn't, you're still at +5. The danger though is that it's launch punishable, so you do need to be careful with it. On hit, Armor King is at +5, which makes things a bit more interesting. The follow up that I'd go for is Giant Swing, because this will catch them in whichever way they sidestep. To stop them ducking, you can go for DB2. This is uninterruptible and the 4 is a natural combo. However, it's also a high, so if the first hit is blocked, they can duck the second. To cover that you can use the 3, which is a mid, but that's also -16 on block, so you can be punished. And on top of that, DB2 can also be sidewalk to the right, so you need to be careful there as well. But the best case scenario is on count hit, because when that happens you're at +16, so you have guaranteed hits. The first option is B+1+2. This is super easy and gives you 27 damage. It also puts you at +6, so it's pretty much your move again. Next option is Shoulder. This is still easy and it gives you 28 damage. It's also great for wall splatting and balcony breaking. At 2 frames slower we have DF21. This is 29 damage and it also starts his 10 string, but most good players will just low parry the third hit, and it's also -1 on hit, so personally I'd stay away from this one. Next option is DB24. This is just as easy as Shoulder and it does 2 points more damage, and also like the Shoulder it will wall splat and balcony break. But my preferred option is F+21. This is slightly more difficult at 15 frames, but you get 32 damage, and like the other options it's still wall splats, so it's the one that I'd go for. But there are options for more damage, and it's just that the execution is a bit more difficult. The first option is B+4. On its own this only does 15 damage, but the stunner will take that up to 34. And the reason why this is tricky is that the throw is a just frame and you might not always land it, but if you do then you might get some OK as well, and I'll be covering that in the future. Next one is B+3. On its own this only does 23 damage, but what makes it good is that a Shoulder is guaranteed afterwards, and that takes your damage up to 45. The tricky part here is dashing up to land it, because on some of the smaller characters it can be difficult, and I think it might not work on Kuma because he has short legs. But the best option by far is Dark Upper. This comes out in 14 frames, so you have enough advantage to land it, and once you do you'll get borderline 80 damage if not more. Also by the wall you'll get a high wall splat, and that means you can do more damage. I've actually done a video covering that, so if you want to see it there's a card in the corner and a link in the description. The only problem though is getting Dark Upper to come out in 16 frames. The window is a bit tight and I had trouble doing it consistently, so I'd only recommend it if your execution is spot on. The last guaranteed hit I want to mention is on Biggs. Against Kuma, Jack and Gigas, a hop kick will launch them, and from there you can do up to 60 damage easily. Against the other characters this won't work, but against these it does, so you might as well make the most of it. So putting all that together, what do I think of this move? Well, I don't think it's that good. To me, Armor King is a punishing and whiff punishing character, and this move just doesn't suit him. It lacks speed, it lacks range, and you can't use it like King's version. The only place that I'd consider it is at the wall after B+1+2. Here you're at +6, which means that Blindside is almost uninterruptible, and in this situation most people will just block, so you can use this to carry on pressuring. Outside of that, I just don't see where it's useful. If it were up to me, then I'd do one of two things. The first would be just to remove the move entirely. The reason for this is that at the moment Blindside overlaps with Hades drop, and if you try to do quarter circle back 1+2 after something like DF1, you just end up with Blindside. But if Blindside were to be gone, then you wouldn't have that problem, and that would make our throw game stronger. The second thing would be to improve the speed. At 18 frames, this is just too slow to land on counter hits, and there's better options out there anyway. But if this were to be 16 frames, then you'd have more frame traps, and that might make this mid worth using. So those are my thoughts on Blindside, but what do you think? Do you agree with me, or do you think this is actually a good move? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, then give me a thumbs up. My next Armor King video will look at his generic throws, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and I'll see you guys in the future.